Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. How are you, dear students? Now, in our last lesson, we had the parts about the conversation and the listening. So we are just going to revise in our unit, which is 2 is better than 1. We have the idea, as we mentioned before, teamwork. Now, in our lessons, we talked about Badr and Adnan and how they teamed up to help each other. We have, of course, the phrases about negotiation, and we also had real talk. We also talked about, in the listening part, about Abdullah Rabi'a or Dr. Abdullah Rabi'a. Now, we ordered his achievements in chronological order, and we talked about them briefly. Now, you can see that we have here the sentences that we did in the listening. Now, here, I would like to just point out another task. We are going to go back to our sentences. Now here, I want you just to pronounce the words that I am going to underline. We have here, read the words. We have the word member, board, pediatric, surgeons, professor, director, affairs. We have here, basically they have the word guard, not national but guard, just read it with me, or you can say in general, National Guard. We have here perform, surgery, royal court. So we have the words here. Just to also note out that we have the word surgery and surgeons. They are both nouns, but one is an action, surgery, and the other one, they are people, surgeons. And both, they share something that I want you to put in mind. Now, what do all these words share? Why did I underline these words? When I said royal or guard or surgeon, what do these words have in common? Now, if you notice that all of these words have the letter R. Now, we are going to focus on the R here, so be ready for pronunciation. Our first part here is going to be pronunciation. Now, we have the letter R. Of course, we are moving on to our part, which is pronunciation. We are going to differentiate between vowels and consonant pronunciation in general. We are going to identify words with the R sound and pronounce the R sound properly. So a lot of us, as we are learning English, some people, they do not pronounce the R in the proper way. We are going to learn how. Now, moving on with our lesson. Before we start with the R, I would just want to point out here that we always think of what to say and arrange thoughts. When you are thinking about your answers, you think, what are you going to say? You try to arrange your thoughts, but it rarely comes in mind how we speak. How do you pronounce your words? Now, some people, they may misunderstand you because they didn't hear you speak properly. So we are going to focus on pronunciation. Of course, it is known that each language has its unique pronunciation. We have the verse from the Holy Quran, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم ومن آياته خلق السماوات والأرض واختلاف ألسنتكم وألوانكم. So here, this is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that there are many nations, there are many countries and languages, and of course, there are differences between our languages. Now, speaking about differences, we are going to see the difference between vowels and consonants in general. So we are going to have a simple exercise here. I would like you to pronounce the names of the following. We have here this fruit. Just pronounce with me the picture that you see, the name of the fruit. Complete with me. We have here, these are different fruits. Now you can see that some of these fruits, they are light when you pronounce them, like when we say kiwi, when you say, for example, lemon, or you have your banana, apple. These are light words. They are different from when you say, for example, strawberry, or watermelon, or cherry, or berry. So here you can see that they are heavier when you pronounce, because we have here the letter R. Now we are going to focus on the R here, which is a consonant. Now we do know the difference between vowels and consonants. Now what makes this R heavy? The R sound is voiced, which means you use your vocal cords. It is defined by the position of your tongue. To produce the R sound, curl your tongue near the roof of your mouth and voice out through your mouth. So we have here, you are going to curl, which makes the R sound heavier. Now we have here, this is the proper way to pronounce the R. You may practice in your book, page number 11. We have here the sentences. Now, for example, we have the word Dr. Rabi'a, respected. We have number 2, children, around the world. We have number 3, received, surgery, which has 2 R's, Riyadh. We have number 4, after, operation, mother. We have number 5, the ambassador, reception, honor. Now these are just examples. You can take your time, revise here, and you can see what are the words that you have that have the letter R, and just practice and go on until you have the pronunciation perfect. Now, as another practice, you can write down 15 words from memory that have the letter R. I'm sure that you have a lot in your vocabulary. So write words, 15 words, 5 words that have the R at the beginning, like Riyadh. Or 5 words that have the R in the middle, like when we say surgery. And 5 words that have the R at the end, like mother. And practice your pronunciation. So you can just put a kind of table, 5 words in each part. For example, here, you can see that we have I wrote here these words. You can see the first column is in the beginning. We have in the middle, and we do have in the end. Now I have different words. For example, we have religion, respect. We have in the middle, perfect and grow. And we have in the end, super, better. So these words, they are here like, you can just imagine them like a building. Now I built my building here using these words. Just imagine with me that it is like a building. Now this building here actually is going to help me with my other part in the lesson, which is going to be the vocabulary building part. Now we do have our vocabulary building. I want you to think about the meaning. So I gave you an introduction. I put my table, but just instead of a regular table here, I just drew some kind of building. Why? So what is the idea here? We do have our part in the lesson or in the book, which is about vocabulary building. Now, before we start with the vocabulary here, I would like you just to look at this picture. I would like you to think here and just see that every enormous building, no matter how high this building is, it starts with something simple, which is a brick. No, vocabulary building is the same idea. You are going to start building your words, your vocabulary. So you learn new words, and with these words, you may understand a whole context or idea. You make use of your 4 skills to learn and use them as well. So when you study new vocabulary, actually you are speaking when you pronounce the words. You read them in context. You listen to them when others speak. and also you're right. Now with your vocabulary, you get higher and higher in language. So these are the basic points that we are going to start with in our second part or in our lesson, which is the vocabulary building. Our objectives are to give the meaning of new vocabulary from context, relate the new vocabulary to their synonyms and antonyms, answer questions and state the definitions, form sentences using the new vocabulary. Now we're going to start. Page number 11, you do have the exercise. Now we have the instructions. You will see these words on in the reading, on pages 12 and 13. Match the words with their meanings. If you do not understand the meaning of a word, look it up in a dictionary. So this is the instruction that you have in the book, but we are going to just stop a little bit and we're going to try to learn the words in another way instead of looking up in the dictionary. So what are we going to do? We have the words. Of course, first we read the words and see if any are familiar. So maybe you know these words from before. We have the words. Try to read the first word. We have the word number 1, compensate. We have the second one, deficiencies. We have number 3, fearsome. We have number 4, read it, invaluable. And we have number 5, predators. So here, just to look at these words, and maybe you know some of these words from before, or at least just one. And if you don't, it's no problem. The second part is to read the meaning and try to relate. Now you have the meanings here in your book as well, so you can just read. Now, for example, we have here causing great fear. You can relate it to another or one of the words that we have here. Number 1, or A, ways in which something lacks what it needs. Lacking. Do you know the meaning of lack? We have number 3, animals. Here specifically, I'm talking about animals that live by hunting others. Number, or D here, extremely valuable. Not just valuable, extremely valuable, which you can relate to one of the words, or priceless. And we have the last one, E, to overcome a weakness with a strength. Overcome a weakness with a strength. So if you notice that, you can relate either by reading the word, reading the meaning, or sometimes by a different kind of gesture or an action to help you. So we have here the words again. We have here, we're going to just move on from the other part. We have third, to go through the meaning in context. So if any of these words or none of these words are familiar, we are going to go through the meaning in context. You can ask a classmate, you can discuss together. So all of these steps are things that you may do to learn new words. Fifth, you can get hints from pictures, synonyms, antonyms, and explanation. So moving on with our lesson, we have number 1, compensate. So let's just say that we do not know the meaning of compensate. How do we learn this word? Compensate here, I can give it in the context. Of course, we have here the context is from the book. Another 2 animals that team up to compensate for their own weaknesses are the zebra and the ostrich. These 2 animals often travel together. This is no surprise since they are a perfect match. So did you understand the word compensate? I'm talking about 2 parts here. 2 parts. We can say, like this example here. Now this person, some people, they may have lost an arm or a leg. So it's not the end. They can use another part which is used to compensate. It's not real, but we can say it is something artificial just to help them to compensate. Now compensate here, we can say that it means something that covers up for something else. The second word here, we have the word deficiencies. Deficiencies. Now, deficiencies here, from the context in the reading part, we can say at the very end, still we are talking about the zebra and the ostrich. Now, they compensate for each other. In this way, each makes up for others' deficiencies. So nothing is perfect. No one is perfect. Each part has its own deficiencies. I gave you something that has a negative meaning here, deficiency. Now here we can say, for example, this man has types of deficiencies. He looks tired, maybe lack of sleep, maybe lack of vitamins, maybe lack of healthy food, which is the same as we have here the synonym, which is shortage. Number 3, I have a simple word here. From the word fear comes fearsome. Now, I gave you a hint when we read the meanings. Now, for example, the African crocodile, it is known to be fearsome. Can you go near a crocodile? Of course not. Why? Because it is fearsome. And even if you do, you must be very careful. Now, the opposite of fearsome is cowardly, or the antonym. We have number 4, the word invaluable, which is close to one of the meanings that we read. Now we have something simple here, the context. We can say that while many symbiotic pairs may at first look like odd partners, the benefits they provide one another are invaluable. So they cannot lose each other or live without each other. Simpler meaning here, we can say that is similar to the word precious or water. Can you live without water? Of course not, because it is invaluable. The last word that we have here is the word predators, plural. Predators here, from the example, we can say that for animals in the wild, each day is a struggle to survive. They must continually search for food while at the same time keeping themselves safe from predators. We have here they are in danger. They have to be safe from what? From predators. Now there are different pictures of predators here. You can see that these animals, they are all predators. And just to put in mind, like a cute animal, like the kitten here, even this small animal can be a predator to a smaller animal. Now we can say that there is the cat and the mouse. The last solution is to go through the dictionary as the book mentioned. So you can see, and I'm sure that you have learned the meaning and you took a complete idea without even using a dictionary. So going back to our exercise here, we can see that the first one, compensate, means we have here E, which means to overcome a weakness with a strength. Deficiencies means A, ways in which something lacks. When we said that the man has lack of sleep or lack of vitamins. Fearsome, causing great fear. We have here invaluable means, we have here D, which means extremely valuable or priceless. And we have the last one, predator, means animals that live by hunting others. So how to remember? As I mentioned before, relate, connect. You can use the vocabulary more often, give your own examples. Now I do have something also prepared for you here. Now we can see that we have here the words, but in another context. Do you remember when I used the vocabulary about paragraph about King Abdulaziz? Now we have something here totally different, which means that you can use it in any type of context you want. Just to read with me. Have you ever imagined living in the dinosaur age? Dinosaurs are quite fearsome predators, but even the strongest have their deficiencies. No one knows exactly why dinosaurs had become extinct and disappeared, but life is invaluable, and there were things that they could not compensate. They will always be a mystery. So here we have an interesting paragraph using all the words that we have learned. So at the very end, what did we do in our lesson? We identified words with the R sound, and you must practice pronouncing the letter R properly. We recalled some words that we knew or connected, recognized some meanings that we know from before. You can connect with synonyms and antonyms and understand from content as well. And at the very end, we have our evaluation is to connect to a definition and communicate using the new vocabulary. So we have completed our vocabulary task for the day. We have 5 simple words that you can learn, practice, and use more, inshallah, in the future. So be ready for more information in our reading, inshallah.